Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the CVR World Cup preseason. Riders are in the pens getting underway here, and it's just about 3:52 or so to the start of the men's race, and also the women's race is starting about 4 minutes from now. As we're loading into the pens here, I want to welcome to the program Quentin Lefay, our co-commentator today. Quentin, how's it going over there in France tonight?
Hey everyone, well, it's going good. It's going good. A bit chilly, but you know, it's winter.
Yeah, it's where I start chatting about the weather, man. I wouldn't be surprised if during the broadcast you start hearing the windows shaking. But it's been actually yesterday it was like 60 degrees out in winter, and today the temperature just plummeted. So anyways, though, it's not going to be cold out on course though for these boys. 156 guys have signed up, it looks like, and for the women we've got 22 women hanging out in the pens right now, getting ready to go, it looks like here. So it's definitely going to be plenty hot, I think, out on course. Super fast racing out here today. So real quick, what is going on with the CVR World Cup? So this is a little bit of information here. Obviously, today is December 4th and 5th, the start of the season. 4 weeks in duration for the preseason. And the idea here is to get used to the format as well as the rankings that you have with CVR. So Cyclogent rankings actually place you into certain categories in order to race against other individuals. And so you can also upgrade your category with the CVR rankings in this preseason to get into the category that you desire to be racing in. It's also going to give some time for the categories to have a correct spread between abilities. As I have seen some people in some social medias like, wait a second, I got to race against this guy, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get blown away. But I think that the rankings with this preseason, the idea is then to figure out where people stand as well as get used to the format. Winter season then starts January 2nd for 8 weeks, and the postseason is then 4 weeks from February 26th. Now, quick on the league information about this right here. The idea with the regular season is that it's going to be bringing individuals into, real quick here, we actually have a graphic for this. So 2 halves each 4 weeks. Best 3 races from each count towards points. Winner of each zone gets an invitation to the CVR World Cup Live. So the now when I was saying categories earlier, it's actually zones that people are in. And so winner of the so you must accept in order to be crowned, in order to get to be able to go. And then the postseason is a head-to-head tournament where second and third place finishers per zone fight it out for the final invitation in a knockout style series. So, excuse me, the zones today is race zone E for the men. Quentin, how many zones went out today? It was like, I think it goes all the way to like F or G.
I think
There's
it's
a ton of zones. 8 zones.
There is 8 zones, yeah. So that we have the quarterfinals at the second week, and the semifinal the third week, and the finals on the fourth week of the postseason.
Gotcha. Okay. So, all right, 10 seconds to go here for the men. And we do have the women's feed here coming in about 56 seconds, but they're going to be flying out of here. A lot of the top dogs are showing up fighting for this spot in the CVR World Cup here. So right from the get-go here, 10 watts per kilogram, 3 laps on the London Loop. Going to be a long race today. And that is definitely something that we see a lot from CVR, is these longer, more road race type efforts, Quentin.
Yeah, it's definitely more the series that looks more like the road, with the power-ups disabled, and sometimes maybe a little bit longer races. And it's definitely a special format that we got here.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like here we do have right from the get go with the 167. Let's see how things are panning out from the start here. We're going to bring in the women's start here as well. We're going to have to bring in it without an overlay to start with, as there was something a little bit wacky with it here. But we will get back into this with me and Quentin in just a second here. But as you can see here, the girls are off here. It is 330 watts right away from Winky. Going to take a look here through some of the riders and see where they stand amongst the big hitters. And right there from the get-go, we are seeing one of the strongest women we've ever seen out on course. Rachel Elliott, Quentin, an arrow power-up right from the get-go on Rachel Elliott with 177 beats per minute and 394. She's showing up to win, it looks like.
She might have shown up to win, but she already broke the rules that no power-ups allowed. So she might have collected that before the start, but it's not allowed.
No. So, how is that going to play out? And is there going to be any forgiveness? Maybe she goes back to the pack if she's watching the broadcast right now. But Quentin is correct. There are, and so now aren't power-ups then supposed to be disabled on the day if we're not going to be allowing them? Perhaps.
Well, actually, you can collect one before the race, but you can't get another one when you go across the lines. So she collected this one before the start, and she didn't get rid of it. So she used it now, and it might be like even a 30-second, maybe 60-second penalty, and it's up to the officials to do with that.
Yeah. So, okay, now we do have, it does look like the feed's all set up correctly here. So it'll be interesting. I mean, 17 seconds from the get-go, and the other girls probably saw this. I wonder if they're just going to end up letting her go because of it. But 6.4, 5.5 watts per kilogram here. Be interesting to see. Now, the rules here, I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit through the rules as we're chatting about this here. And a quick start guide. You can actually get all this information over at CVRWorldCup.com, league-information over at Zwift.com as well at the event for the CVR World Cup. All the information is linked over there as well as on ZwiftPower.com. And so it does look like for the zones, this is actually super interesting. I'm actually going to bring this right on in because this is a great graphic. We should have this graphic actually in the broadcast show. We'll see if we can bring it in next time. But it definitely gives you a good idea of why the zones exist. I think the idea is so that each individual is racing amongst their time zones or in a zone that makes a lot of sense for the time that, not even in their time zone, but a zone that makes sense for them, right? Because I might race at 1 a.m. That's Gara racing time, right? Because that's the time that I got. And so I pick a zone that I want to race in, and then I compete in that zone, right? And if there's room in it, they enter me into it. So I registered, I believe it was for the E zone as well as like the A zone and another zone if I was going to be racing. And so the idea here is that you then jump into one time zone that makes a lot of sense for you. Whoever wins that zone gets to go in the winter season. The absolute winner of it ends up going to the CVR World Cup by accepting that. And then the head-to-head in the postseason for second and third is going to be quite the battle. That'll be some exciting racing, actually. I wonder what the format there will be and how they're going to pit people against each other in if they're just going to allow the second and third and then have everybody else race with them. It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see because, well, first of all, it's one spot for each zone, and that's very interesting because there's a lot in play. And then the second and third are going to be battling it against every zone, and only one of them, maybe two, are going to go to CVR, and that's going to be something very, very interesting because it's going to bring out some team play, and the 1v1 format is something we've never seen on Zwift yet.
Yeah, for sure. And we are hearing from CS Tricks, actually, Casey Shum saying second and third is head to head with as much help you want in the race, right? So, like you were saying, team tactics are going to come into play. And I think the reality of teams out on Zwift and like how they function, that's going to really bring out some awesome motivation in the competition. I think that it's like, look, you know, I'm going to make it as the first place is one thing, but second and third are like, you guys, we want to get as many in here as we can. Jump in this race, help me out, let's go. And I think we're going to see some serious team tactics going down, which is really cool for the encouragement of the growth of teams out on Zwift, I think. So, Quentin here, it does look like we have a little bit of a break forming, actually. 2 seconds back, 3 seconds, one. The first split is happening just from that little bit of attack through into Trafalgar Square there in that left-hand turn over toward Box Hill here. So definitely interesting to be seeing riders already falling off that early. Any favorites you're seeing in this front group already?
Well, there's a lot of very strong guys today because it's the guys that are used to race in the European time, and these might be
Wait, what are
the
you saying?
fastest ones.
Quentin, are you saying the European guys are stronger than everybody else? Is that what we're saying?
Not at all. Like, you see US guys race at European time, but being the first time zone, well, on TV, if we can say it like that, it's the most attractive one, and the stronger riders tend to arrange their schedule to race this time zone. And we see like guys like Jonathan Levy, who's like a very strong guy, and Lucas Conley is there as well from Canada, and we see Anthony Porsche from Australia. So it's definitely a very international field, and we are going to see some very strong riders today.
Yeah, and I would actually argue that the European time and the international, it's almost kind of more of an international time. This is the peak time for Zwift. And I would even say most of it from a USA perspective, from a professional racer out of the USA, we all go race in Europe for a reason when we're looking for a pro contract. So there's a reality to Europe just being crazy fast as well. So we definitely have some big hitters here right now. Soren Bay as well. I'd be watching out for him out of Denmark. Jujon's here also. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Jujon? Is that it, Quentin? Jujon?
Drujon.
Drujon. Okay.
Yeah.
Drujon. Okay. Happy. I was trying too hard. I had it right the first time, it looked like. All right. So the men are just starting their first time up and over the top of Box Hill here. Daffyd Williams here with a quick, wow. Daffyd here, you know, maybe a little bit of rest. This is a rider who I've seen race day in and day out, but KRT, KISS Racing Team, has shown up in force at the front here, it looks like here. The Melty Man and Daffyd with the first initial attacks. We do see Kay Vanna here as well from WBR. Be watching out for him, 189. Annabelle as well. Now, a few of the faster riders, I think, are going to be sitting in a little bit at this point, allowing these boys to get away. Maybe not super concerned about whether or not they're going to be taking down any significant time with Drujon as well as Hopping Marita. We are seeing Diner here still sitting in. So One Love with Locks is there as well. Is Webb racing a different time though, or is he sitting in somewhere that I did not notice? Kim Little is here
right
as well.
At the front. He's on second position.
Second position? Okay, so.
Yeah, Adam Webb is on second position. He went
I
right
see.
for,
Yep. There he is. There he is. Right next to his former teammate, actually, Goran as well. So Jacobonus is here. Conley as well from Canada up toward the front, it looks like here. And so got a whole lot of comments already coming through over at Twitch, actually. If you aren't watching over at twitch.tv, you can head on over there. There's definitely some chat going on, and we've got CS Tricks in there. Box Hill will be way different than E-Crit Racist. CS Tricks is saying this is a long one. Prediction coming from Casey Shum, and it will go sub 6. It will be stupid. Good to see you, G. Leo Zwift. G. Leo Zwift, I saw your broadcast on Twitch as well, man. Nicely done, just so you know. And definitely great job to the rest of the community as well. That's been doing a really good job of getting out there and starting up those streams of Zwift out on Twitch. So solid job there. Frank is saying, man, looks like the KISS Crit Series is moving 15 minutes up to 8-2. Oh, interesting. Did not know. So looking through here now for the women, it's already a minute 10 to Rachel Elliott. We're not sure what the official call will be on Rachel yet. Maybe Casey, who actually is in the broadcast here watching right now, could let us know if he's got any information there. Jay Abbott's here right along with Beaumont. We are also seeing, it looks like K-Hole here coming out of vision now right now. And this is actually a little bit of a break, it looks like, happening. Inslee about 7 meters back from PTZ now. Beaumont, Abbott, and K-Hole, do you think that we're going to get away here with this early attack, Quentin?
I think the first break in the women's race might happen from the first climb of Box Hill. It's a very, very tough climb, and for the women, it's most likely going to break up the pack because it's a very small pack, a much smaller pack than the guys, actually. And we might have groups of 2, 3, 4 women coming at the top, and it might stay that way all race long, even if they have to do it 3 times.
Yeah, we are seeing 164 beats per minute here, currently coming from the Vision Cycling rider. Abbott, though, fearless at the front. It's really cool to see the women's teams getting together out here and, working in order to try and break things apart up at the front here. And we are seeing Abbott here right along with Beaumont here. Looks like it's a little bit tactical with those two, and those fearless kits definitely stand out, the ones that they chose there with the neon on it. So now, but Vision Cycling at the front here, 168 beats per minute. Looks like she's taking a little dig at the rest of the riders. 168 beats per minute. Now Wayland up in that 183 with a Zwift Academy graduation kit on. Now we are seeing Abbott now hanging on 175, Beaumont 177 here. PTZ rider falling off. Like you said, this will be that initial break, and we'll most likely have these 4 go off the front. Now it is very difficult to hang in with a group up ahead or catch a group up ahead when you don't have massive amounts of riders with you. So these 4 might work together, create some sort of a team time trial situation, and really gain a ton of time on the rest of the riders here. And I don't know about hunting down Rachel Elliott, though. 5.9 watts per kilogram on the front end of this pack here, so we'll have to see. And we are seeing Chapa saying, "What's up, Nathan? Salts and I here enjoying the commentary." Good to see you there, Chapa. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for watching, Nathan. I'm enjoying the stream, and thanks, G Leo. Appreciate that. Not seeing, where does it say power-ups not allowed? Oh, interesting. So community is saying that they're not seeing where it says power-ups are not allowed. Quentin, can you point us? I think it's in the league information. Is that correct? I'll have to double check though.
I would say so. I read it earlier, but I can't remember quite where. Let me check.
Yeah, you go ahead, go check that out. And
actually,
I'm looking through a little bit here as well.
If you go to zwiftpower.com, and you can actually see that the power-ups are not enabled in the small recap. So
gotcha. Yeah, I see.
You can see the laps, the loop, if the riders are visible or not. And when power-ups are allowed, you see a little like battery or something, and that says that power-ups are allowed, and you can't see it quite yet.
Yeah, so we'll see if that's spelled out super clearly in the rules. Maybe Rachel will get a buy on that one if it's not, as the community is coming through with some questions there. But there's a summary of rules here. I'm looking through, and I would definitely check out the summary of rules, as well as there's probably a full rules as well. So check those out, and we'll see where that's at. CX Trick says power up rules unclear. CVR will clarify right now. No penalties. So Rachel Elliott off the front with that power up and it looks like there's going to be no penalty for that. So 6.5 watts per kilogram for Rachel Elliott off the front. Vision Cycling here now is going to be trying to chase that down, but I think they're racing for second here now at this point, Quentin, with Elliott in this race. And, you know, it's going to be difficult to challenge her at all in any of these races, including the final, I think, with how strong she's showing up to be.
Yeah, I think, well, power-ups or not, Rachel would have been off the front anyway, so I don't think it changes anything. But it's interesting to see that we got only a group of 3, and the one thing that might come into play is that up Box Hill, the draft is not as important as on the flats, but it still exists. So it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that, because there's still two climbs up ahead to go. And I think Abbott might be the main contender for Rachel Elliott right now, because we saw it in the Ecrit. She was always second to her, so she might be a top contender for second place today. But yeah, once again, Kirsty Hill from Vision wasn't there in the Ecrit, so that might be something to take into consideration as well.
And I wonder if that's a timing thing, or maybe just wants to do the CVR World Cup instead. Perhaps also the type of racing that it is. I mean, this is a very different type of racing, Quentin, right? I mean, the Ecrit being very flat, very tactical. This is a lot more, you know, a lot more about the power of the riders purely up and over the top of some of these climbs. It's straight up road racing versus crit style racing.
Exactly, and I think a lot of women got drawn because it's more entertaining to have climbs and stuff on the race than purely crit, when it mostly comes down to a sprint most of the time. And well, for Kirsty, actually, it's more of a motivation thing. She got drawn into it with the whole team, and she's actually more motivated for right now than when the Ecrit launched. And it will be interesting to see how she does now that she's in the position that she's in.
Yeah, and so now we do have, it does look like Bumna did fall off the back. This pace was a little bit too strong for her, it looks like here. So now it is going to be Croucher along with Inslee and Gannon trying to close things down here. It is a 4-second gap between Croucher, Inslee, Gannon here now 5 seconds back. Avery as well 1 second back. So this might be a chase group that does form if they can dig that little bit more and catch back up to the wheels here. So Gannon here out of the US of A. It does look like Inslee also out of the UK here for the PTZ team. Fearless with 3 in the top 6 right now, making the chase here. But Beaumont, Abbott, Wayland now right along with Kirsty up at the front now. They're about to couple over the top. It was a 6:24 from Rachel Elliott over the top of Box Hill. And we'll see what these 3, I believe, are going to be taken down somewhere around well, we'll see here, 7 or so minute climb up and over the top here. We'll wait for the KOM to populate here, and it will be 8:05 up and over the top there with Abbott and then Wayland here. So Rachel just demolishing that climb though amongst the women. Back in with the men's racing now. As you can see, the riders here now finishing up their lap. They were able to actually drop off Trzynski, Dempster here as well, Turksma, MD off the back, Hargreaves now from Zwift HQ, usually in it for the win in crit racing, not only in Zwift racing, but in real life. But here now at 5.7 watts per kilogram, making the chase here. It's only 10 seconds up, but this is a match being burnt, that's for sure. Quentin trying to bring back that group right now, and I'm not sure they're going to be seen again here up at the front here. The big hitters now letting themselves be known. Annabelle, Conley. Conley actually was off the front by a solid 5, 6, 7 seconds actually for a little while there. Now has been brought back in though. Kim Little's there. Goran as well. Jay Levy from the KRT team. Be watching out for him for the W here. Sherritt Locks as well. S. Bay there, Soren Bay here, riding unattached as well out of Denmark, it looks like here. So solid group here. Looks like it is going to be, can we get a solid look here at the riders? And it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and about 10 riders actually in the top 10 right now. So Quentin, out of this group, who's the favorites here? I mean, what is your call here? I mean, they're all fairly strong riders. We do have Kim Little there riding for Team Experimental, sponsored by CVR. I mean, obviously going to be some motivation there from Team Experimental to be trying to take that win, but it looks a little bit alone, though, at the front end of this group.
Yeah, Kim might be one of the favorites, but he might have as well a hard time because there's very strong guys with him, like Jonathan that we mentioned earlier, Levy, Conley, Grimshaw as well, who beat him in the SDR last week, I believe. Goran as well.
Yeah, Grimshaw has had back-to-back wins, I believe, in the SCR right now. So I'd be watching out for Grimshaw for a W for sure.
Exactly, and we have the One Love duo with Adam Webb and Aaron Lux. That Aaron is a very light rider, so he's one to count with on Box Hill. And I wouldn't count out the groups behind just yet because we don't have any Vision rider up ahead, and I noticed they were like 20 seconds behind, and they might be working together if one of them had a mechanical in Box Hill. And the group behind seems to be gathering, and I wouldn't count them out just yet.
So looking through here, Dempster looks like BRT right now. It does also look like Team Poland is making their way to the front right now. BRT, it looks like WBR in there as well. Looking back, though, it looks like Hargreaves, 183 beats per minute, now suffering from that match that he threw down at the front end of the group to try and pull things back. So now he's going to be going back to that chase group here of Optics. Looks like Drujan as well. Vision Cycling, as you mentioned, they're making a chase, but it's almost a full minutes up. It's a 30-second gap between each one of these groups right now, and it is full on chase mode though if you want to get back into that front runners now. Anthony Vegan Porsche here, 169 beats per minute, 4.6 watts per kilogram. Schwartz sitting on him. Optics is there. Diablo Cycling, Drujan, and then Mike Bike and Mueller looks like, as well as Schultz along with Alexis Lujan. They're coming out of France. Pelosi, Mueller, Vanna as well. Durham is in the race. Good to see Christopher hammering away. U23 rider here, killing it in the race, 184 beats per minute. Burton from the TFC with Wall, Serbu, and it will be Armstrong. So moving forward now still, this is your top 30 or so, but it's going to be a rough day for this chase with these 30-second gaps right now. Only 23 up to this group. But then the group up ahead is only 11 seconds. So with it calming down a little bit, we are seeing Conley now make an attack here. 8.6 watts per kilogram coming from him. Webb at 2 seconds off the back from him, it looks like here. One Love trying to follow it up. Levy sitting on it. 180 beats per minute, though. Share it there, 3.7. S. Bay Annabelle now is still hanging on. It looks like fairly confident, though, is Kim Little. Maybe thinking that's not going to go anywhere. Conley continues these attacks, though, trying to get away as a solo effort. It's really, really interesting to be seeing this rider continually attacking off the front here.
Yeah, it's actually very surprising because on these flat sections, you wouldn't expect anyone to try to go alone, and especially 1 against 10. And that's, I'd say, courageous from him, but that might not be the right term if you expect to win a race. And
Yeah. Courageous. It is
yeah,
courageous. It is maybe most combative, but the most combative gets an award
yeah.
because they don't always win the race. I think is what is what Quentin is getting down to there. And so, most combative rider so far, Conley off the front here, and it is 8 watts per kilogram still, but it looks like Levy is shutting it down right along with Grimshaw on the climb. Sherritt is now there as well, and it looks like Kim Little, Goran able to hang on. Anybody falling off? Locks here from One Love, maybe about to bite the dust. We'll see if he can hang on. He may be a light rider, but on these pure power sections where it's just a full-on kick, it matters to hang on to those wheels. It doesn't look like they still have the 17 seconds now. And this is the struggle at this point. A lap and a half in, Quentin, and do you put all your cards on the table to close this down now, or do you trust that you're a climber that can bring this back? I mean, you really want to be back on before you hit the climb, but there's that fine line you're drawing of not having any energy to do a full-on 5.5 minute, 6 minute interval, right, Quentin? I mean, what would your choice be if you're sitting in this race right now at the front end, or at the front end of this chase group? Sit in and wait, or try and work together at a high tempo pace? It doesn't look like there's too organized either, Quentin.
Well, if you know me at all, you know I would sit in, but I'm not sure that's the right strategy.
If you know me at all, you know I would just be sitting in. I love it. Hey, Bakey, how's it going? Good to see you over at the Twitch channel. Racing Mike says, out of energy confirmed. It's good to see you in the race, though, Racing Mike. Nice job out there today. And we are seeing 6:05 is the time that if you are pulling 5.6. So it does look like, Casey, thanks a lot for the info there. So at 5:49, they're probably pulling high fives up and over the top there. Not high fiving each other at all, but definitely pulling some high five to low six up and over the top there. And it is a 6 minute effort all out. For these boys at this elite level, about 6 watts per kilogram actually makes a lot of sense. Just that half number up, a 0.5 up or a little more than that even for VO2 max efforts all out up and over the top is definitely a doable one. So now looking through here, let's look at the front. It is calming down at the front end of the races. They're waiting for the next time up and over the top of Box Hill. Let's check in with the women here as they're making their way through their first lap. And it looks like we do still have the gap to Elliott, as she has just walked away with this one so far. And it does look like a solid 5:18 up to Rachel Elliott there. 3.7 watts per kilogram, 168 beats per minute currently. I think she's just going into a solo TT tempo mode at this point, I would think. Finish out the race steadily, save something for the climbs, and just make sure that you pound those as hard as you possibly can. But I think there's a confidence. I mean, with 5 minutes, that's not coming back. It's gone at this point. There's no chase train to bring this back, right, Quentin?
Yeah, she's gone. Especially, if you've ever seen Rachel Elliott race, you know that she's going full on TT mode from start to finish. Even if she's got 5 minutes over the second group, she's gonna give it all the way to the line. And there's no way anyone's coming back with that kind of effort.
She's just the way she races, right, Quentin? I mean, she's just a TT specialist.
Exactly. And TT season has ended in Great Britain, but it never ends on Zwift. So she's going all out all year long. And the other Zwift women pay the price.
The others, I love that. Nice. And so we are seeing here Wayland now, 3.9 watts per kilogram coming from Wayland. Actually, now solid effort here from these three though. They've gained about a 106 that we're seeing right now. Abbott, and we are seeing Kirsty here hammering away 3.6 watts per kilogram. I don't think that they're going to be too worried either about bringing anything, about anybody coming back to them. I mean, Beaumont here, super strong rider from Fearless, but has been dropped off the back at this point, and most likely is, we'll see. You think Inslee and Croucher will be able to bring this back on the day?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be a long race for Beaumont, and I mean, 2 against 1 isn't a given in any way that we can say, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a long battle between Beaumont and the two rider chasing her.
Yeah, it is going to be quite the battle here with Inslee. I mean, and Croucher as well. Two riders here making the chase right now in this women's race. We're seeing 162 beats per minute here currently coming from Inslee. Croucher, they're 178. Looks like Avery here making a solid chase. 159 beats per minute here, 3.1 watts per kilogram out of Australia. She's going to be thinking about, when you're out on Zwift and you can see the power that these other riders are putting out here, 2.5, 3.1 consistently here up ahead. Avery then has a little bit of motivation if she feels confident at a little bit higher watts per kilogram, Quentin. I mean, what goes through your mind at those points when you're making those chases? It can be a little bit defeating in your head. It is about speed. A lot of times people don't understand that. They look at that right-hand side and they think, oh, my watts per kilogram at this moment, I'm really suffering, trying to hold on to whatever it might be. But the reality is like, it's about speed. And so if you can hold a higher speed through and then a higher watts per kilogram, obviously at the points that matter, climbs, as well as the points at which you're going to gain the most speed from those watts per kilogram. So at this moment, it looks like Avery might bring this back, actually make this a chase group of 3.
Yeah, she can definitely bring it back if she can make the effort at the right moment, which would be now in the climb up to Trafalgar Square. But yeah, it's definitely down to whether if she can pull it back in this little hill that is Trafalgar Square.
Yeah, this is going to be an opportunity right here. That right-hand turn into the square. And then I believe if she's able to kick into 5 watts per kilogram or so, 12 seconds can be almost brought back. And then she'll have to have some continuance up onto the top there. Abbott here now at the front with, it looks like Hull. And then it will be Whalen now as well. And still this chase group of 3 holding off Beaumont there as well from Fearless. And Abbott's not holding up for her teammate at this point, though. She's just going to keep on pushing the pace at the front here, it looks like. And the riders now, as we do see, are calming down a little bit, though, on the pace. We are seeing 2.8 up and over the top. They're getting a little reprieve as they're going to be looking toward Box Hill, I think, as they take a turn over toward the bridge into the underground here. So Vision still at the front here, 171 beats per minute. And you were saying that Kirsten is a climber here. Is that right? That you're thinking a little bit stronger on the climbs there?
I'm not sure if she's quite on the climber scene, but she's definitely been improving this past season. And we had very few occasions to see her racing in the past few months. So everything she does is almost a surprise to everyone, and maybe even to herself. And I think she might be quite pleased to be at that place right now.
That's absolutely awesome. And would you say, I mean, that is in part to Zwift then? The improvements that you're seeing out there?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And well, it's been hard for her to race during the summer on Zwift and at all. And I think she has a mountain biking background as well. So the type of effort that is required at Box Hill might definitely fit her better than any other course you can find on London. So yeah, I think this course might be the best one for her. And one thing that might play to her advantage here as well is that Abbott might not be putting the pressure on her and Whalen as she should actually, because she has 2 teammates right behind her, and if you have 2 teammates behind you, you can use that to put pressure on the guys or girls next to you, and she's definitely not doing that.
Yeah, so because of those teammates, it can make the other girls work, and there's not really, she's definitely working together there. Now, maybe there's motivation because PTZ is back there as well, and not really wanting Inslee to come back, perhaps. I mean, Inslee might be somebody that they don't want in that final sprint with them there, Quentin. What do you think about that?
Maybe Inslee might be one they don't want with them, but she's only 1 against 3, and there's no other PTZ, and 3 riders from the same team offer a lot more option than 1 against 2 in that situation. So, well, I think they are communicating with one another, so everything they do might be calculated, and we might not know who's thinking what. And all we can say is speculations. So they might just want to put pressure on PTZ to maybe to soften her legs before the second climb, and we might see some things happen in that second climb up Box Hill.
Yeah, so looking back just a little bit with the women here, we are seeing, it looks like for the chase groups, Gannon all in her lonesome TTT, it looks like here. Now, Livesley as well, PTZ, we are seeing another PTZ rider, Hodebrab here, Thompson from BRT, looks like, as well as Scott. It looks like Asperheim here out of Norway with Ganley. With the chase group of 3, another fearless rider, looks like Kohler, as well as L. Gray and me actually in there. It looks like I read now from Fearless now making a little bit of a kick up into some crazy waters real quick and then backs off a little bit here. So that is some of the chasers there amongst the women. But this is the main front chase group now. We are going to bring in the men's race here. I know we are missing one of the main climbs here, boys and girls. We are just capturing some information here as we were getting a couple of dropouts there on the day here. So interesting to see as we are oh, here we go. So let's go ahead and capture UDP. All right, so we're getting a couple of dropouts here, guys, on our main feed, and so I'm just attempting to get some information here as to why that is happening for the men's race, and we'll get that back in as soon as possible. But while we're doing that here, we do see all of your chat coming through over at the our Facebook. Now, if you are over there, we are watching the Twitch chat closely as well, but we do have social media integration that you can do through our through Twitter by tweeting at Z Community Live, at Z Community Live. And so here's a little chat actually coming on through about Rachel Elliott from Richard Law. Letting us know Rachel Elliott is incredible. The female Tim Kimmer bizarrely lives in the same. Quentin, you got it, Quentin. Hey, Quentin. Oh man, that was. Are we not feeling good today, Quentin? Bizarrely lives in the same town as Tim. Something in the water there. Richard is saying, yeah, it is. They both super strong TT specialists there. And I think that there's actually a focus in their group of racers, perhaps, that they have, I believe, locally between Tim and Rachel. Quentin?
I'm not sure if it's so much a local thing as a general tendency in Great Britain to focus a lot on the TTs. Because, well, from what I understood, the time trial scene in the UK is quite might be the most important one. So maybe it's more of a national thing than a very local stuff.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I do know that they do focus a ton on TTs over there, but as well as I remember when I first got introduced to Rachel as well as Tim, that there was some sort of a local competitions that they were into, maybe not in the same discipline, but there was definitely, like you were saying, this huge focus, like you were saying, on TTs. So, and we're saying maybe Tim is male Rachel from Luke Peterson saying it, and that Richard Law is saying as well. I was in that race. I didn't do it in 6 minutes though. Rod Leach is saying as well. So we are seeing your comments coming through over at the Facebook. Good to see you all over there chatting away at us. Now we are trying to bring in the men's race, you guys, but essentially we are jumping all over the course at this point. So we're going to just keep eyes on the women for now. And as the men do make their way around the course, we will attempt to bring them back in as soon as we possibly can. But we have essentially a lot of jumping around. I do see Adam Webb making his way through the underground right now, but I'm not sure where he is at in comparison to the rest of the riders. Actually, now we are just barely getting, it looks like, a little bit of a feed coming back in here. So Jay Levy here, it looks like Grimshaw off the front, Sherritt and Conley. They have opened up a solid 46-second gap, it looks like here, over the top of Vanna Webb and Hoppy Marita here. So there was a little bit of a drop off here of a few riders that were in contention at the front end of this race over the top of the climb there. Now I am seeing Goran here. Now wait a second. Did he come back? Is that right? He climbed his way back into this race over the top of Box Hill?
No, Antoine was in the first break at the top of the first climb. He was in the lead group, and but we saw like Adam Webb getting dropped from the first group, as well as Aaron Lux, I believe, and maybe a couple of other guys. And the group is definitely much smaller. Maybe I would guess on the influence of Conley that we saw very offensive. And on the second lap from the part we saw, but the one to watch for in that group is actually Andy Sherritt, and he managed to get over the top of Box Hill twice with the front group, and he's got a very big sprint. So if he can do that a third time, he might be one to play for the podium.
Yeah, I think you may be correct about that. He's got a solid sprint, and if he makes it over the top of the climb again, now I think he does have the likes of Levy, though, to deal with up on the top, Conley as well. Those two can climb. Kim Little can climb on their wheels. I think Kim, being such an all-around rider, if he can hang on with the likes of Levy and Conley up and over the top there, I'd be watching out for Kim in a sprint there. But as you were saying, One Love has been dropped off, it looks like. So it is going to be Team Experimental Innovation, KRT in there as well. But all of the teams with only one rider represented at this point. No double ups, as we can see here. So Goran, Annabelle, Conley, Sherritt, will be Bay in there. Grimshaw, the one who's been taking down Kim Little lately, actually, in the SCR races. So he's going to be watching out for him for a sprint. But the favorites in the climb here, anybody else? I mean, I'm calling out Levy for sure as a favorite in the climb coming up, as well as Conley, who's been throwing down some crazy efforts over the top. What was the climb like here this last time? We're seeing, again, a 5:49 over the top coming from Locks, who actually got dropped off, maybe putting out too much up and over the top. They're trying to drop everybody in that initial climb.
I think these are the times from the first climb that we see here and that are not erased yet, and they might have climbed a couple of seconds slower this time. But with the fatigue kicking in, I think a couple of them got dropped. But on the third climb, I wouldn't count out Goran. He might be just in the winter season for him, but he's been a very good junior rider in France and top 10 in the nationals on the road. So and he's definitely got the climber profile. So he might be one of the surprises we get in the last climb up Box Hill.
So Goran, call out there from the Director Sportif division, no bias at all. So letting us know that coming out of France, though, super strong actual athlete. We gotta stay open on that one. It's all good. It's all good, Quentin. So knowing him personally in real life, it sounds like, Quentin, is that right?
Yeah, actually, Antoine is not like a vision rider on like the other ones we know, because he's wearing the vision jersey because it was part of the team exceptionally for the CVR World Cup in Paris. and that's why he's wearing the Vision jersey. But he's actually part of the Merkia team, a very small team based in France, and
Gotcha.
so there's no Vision bias here. Just to be clear about that.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I know him like personally. I met him a couple of times as well, and well, mainly in Paris for the CVR World Cup, and he did pretty good there. And I think now that winter season is coming up, we might see him a little bit more on Zwift as well.
So another interesting thing here. Can you enlighten us a little bit here, Quentin, on Kim Little's choice of bike here with a climbing course, not a Tron bike here. We're seeing the Trek Monda SLR with some zip wheels on there that are not dish.
Well, there might be two options for that kind of choice. The first one being he wanted the Amanda with low-profile wheels to climb faster, to get the any gain he can have on the climb, and every second counts up Box Hill, and that might be one of the reasons for his choice there. Or the other one might just be that he wanted to change something and he wanted maybe a funky bike and one that nobody else uses. And yeah, maybe just to show that he plays it cool in the preseason, and maybe going for the lockout wheel like that.
We do have some attacks taking place here into the square here. Conley with 10, 11 watts per kilogram, maybe not wanting to leave it to Box Hill. This is a super attack here and really, really early, super aggressive rider on the day here. Conley has been showing us that he's got big attacks, but will it pay off is the question here. 10 watts per kilogram for a full on 30 seconds right here. Now bringing it back down to 7.6, but he's got 8 seconds. That kind of a drill off the front here. And can he hold, though, is the question. He's going to have to hold to a solid 5 to 6 watts per kilogram to get any kind of meaningful gap. He's got what? What does he need when he's going into Box Hill? And then as well as the climb, he's got to be able to pull a 5 to 6 over the top in order to keep his gap, I would think, with the kind of pace these boys are going to be setting up on the top. But there's only one more time to go over Box Hill. Is this a winning move here, Quentin?
It might be actually if Conley he is as strong as he has shown us in the past few weeks, he might be able to get away with it. But it's going to come down to what riders are going to be able to chase him down. And I'm seeing that MD actually got back, or is that a bug before? Because I'm seeing
He might have
MD
had
and
a
Alpine
dropout
Merida.
and been invisible to us, perhaps, for a little while.
It was in the second group at the
Oh
first,
my
so we
goodness.
might have a
Yeah, look
regroupment
at this.
over
Look at
here.
this group. It's surged. It's all of a sudden. Look at how many riders have gotten back. Locks is back.
Yeah,
They put in a huge dig. We missed it. Sorry about that, everybody. But they put in a huge dig into the square and actually we're able to come back now. So now we've got, it looks like One Love with Webb back in there. We've got Grimshaw, MD. It looks like Turksma as well. Trzynski there out of from Team Poland, actually. Hoppy Marita is back in there as well. This has changed up the entire landscape of this race, and our predictions now completely changing what might be happening on the day. WBR is back in there as well. Now the question is, these riders have been maybe not burning as many matches. You know, some of these riders might have been sitting in most of the time, and then that final dig at the end to pull this back in. I mean, this is a lot of riders coming into this final climb right now, Quentin.
yeah, it's definitely a lot of riders, but I do believe that the one that Major Chase will be pretty tired, and a lot more tired than the one that were in the front group. And it's definitely we are going to see which ones were sitting in during that chase, if there were any. And well, we see that Conley just has like 20 seconds on this group, and it's definitely not enough to be sure to win. So anything can happen in that last climb.
Yeah, and so looking through here for the last climb, Conley, like you said, with that 20 seconds here, 21 seconds now, 5.7 watts per kilogram, but he's got to be able to hold this kind of a pace up and over the top here. And you know these boys are going to be going full on looking to catch him here. Bay, Marita, and the rest here are going to be looking for as many points as they possibly get. Now, this is preseason, but it does matter, though, as well for who is going to be in the upper categories to be racing here with CVR here. So the rankings will be changing up a little bit from these races. And this is worth a lot of CVR points. I mean, this kind of a group here. I mean, wouldn't you think with the way that the CVR rankings do work, getting a solid result amongst these boys is going to have a big boost amongst anybody. And Conley is going to quickly find himself up toward the front.
Yeah, I think so. Like, he's been a very new rider in comparison to many others, and he's definitely getting his spot in the A bracket, which is what he needs to get to the CVR World Cup.
Yep, exactly. So it looks like, looking for that A bracket spot here, Conley, if he can take the W here, will be able to move up little by little through those rankings here. Now, because of the way it works, almost kind of like an ELO ranking a little bit, the strength of field matters for the points here, and this is about as strong as field as you can possibly get out on Zwift here. So Conley here, 6.2 watts per kilogram, 5 seconds up now at this point is all he's got. So maybe a little bit of regret here now as Kim Little, we saw the orange numbers being thrown down. This is the final time up and over the top of Box Hill now. Goran now here, it looks like now making his chase at the front. It looks like a solid 6.6 watts per kilogram, 164 beats per minute coming from him. Soren Bay right on the wheel at 6.6. Sherritt there as well, 6.8. Levy there able to hang on here, 6.4 watts per 184 beats per minute. Turksma as well, 6.1. Grimshaw here now, 5.9 watts per Annabelle now. Jogabonis now, I think, falling off. Hoppy Marita as well. This is that chase group we had talked about. They came back, but were unable to hang on now, it looks like. I think maybe the WBR rider, though, trying to make his way back up. Nope, fading now. 191 beats per minute. Jogabonis, Hoppin' Marita, going to be falling off. 11th, 10th place, though. They are going to be hanging on the 10th, it looks like. Maybe Annabelle going to be coming back into the fold with them as well as they turn the screws at the front. Conley still off the front here. Kim Little and Goran here, though, going to be closing it down immediately, it looks like. And halfway up Box Hill, Conley is going to find himself being caught here. And it is going to be, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders at the front now, with Turksma at the back, Conley at the front now, Goran now with a counter, it looks like, as they make the catch. Actually, it was Bay who instigated that counter, it looks like. Soren Bay here up at the front here, now 6.3 watts per kilogram come from him. It looks like Goran, though, able to grab right back on that wheel. Let's go ahead and zoom in here a little bit. You can see what these gaps look like. These really matter. That little bit of a 5 meter gap now with Soren. He's not getting much of a draft, and the draft matters a little bit, even on a 5% gradient. I mean, you're looking for that wheel, Quentin, on these climbs, aren't you?
Yeah, you're always looking for that wheel, even if it's just for, just for the morale. And you definitely want to hang on to that wheel. But the one thing with Box Hill is that you need to have someone to hang on to in the descent. And unless you have some kind of aero power up and some crazy watts to give in the downhill, you can't make it alone against a full group, and that might be something that the riders think about right now.
not making it alone unless you have a full group or if you blow it apart to single riders. But they'll get together, though, over the top of Box Hill. You have to have a crazy TT effort. You have to, not even a TT effort. You have to have a 6 watt per kilogram, 4 or 5 minute effort over the top to get away from these boys and hold on to it. And I'm not sure that there's going to be any motivation at this point to do so unless you grab a few riders or a few more riders start to fall off the pace. That's the other thing. People start to drop like flies off the back of this group from any attack at this point. Perhaps that will cause some motivation. It's all about what the gaps look like between the riders once you come up on the top of the climb here. So we're getting a comment here coming from Ross Whitehead actually on the nature of TT racing in the UK. This is a really cool comment actually coming through here. I'm going to read it all the way through as Ross brought us some interesting information. Cycle racing was banned on UK roads actually in 1890. Time trials became a way of racing without being seen to be racing. Even the courses are referred to by codes such as G2544 so as only to reveal the location to those in the know. That's a really cool, so great little bit of cycling history there in the UK actually. Tidbit there from Ross Whitehead. Why TTs might be so incredibly popular in the UK from back in the day. So looking at a couple more of the social media integrations here. If you want to interact, as you can see there, get interactive, make a comment on the Facebook video or at Z Community Live here. But Roger's asking, will Nathan be racing? We'll see. We will be training on Zwift. Whether or not I'm racing is another question, as we are definitely going to be commentating a lot. That is for sure. Steve Tate saying, move up, Sherritt. Let's go. What is going on with it looks like he's got a favorite out on the course there, but it looks like Sherritt might have fallen off here. I'm looking through as they make their way up and over the top. Bay is at the front. I'm also seeing it go around in there. Conley was caught, and I'm not actually seeing. Sherritt is still in there as well. So it does look like he is going to be able to hang on to the pace. Turksman's fallen off by 31 seconds. Kim Little still in there, but it's been whittled down a little bit, actually. Sherritt is definitely hanging in. It does look like a solid group, though, of about...
Conley is up.
What's that? Say that one more time, Quentin.
Conley is up. He got up in the front, very at the end of the climb.
Quentin with the eagle eyes there, sharp with it looks like Conley and Grimshaw off the front. The SCR upset lately, though. Grimshaw trying to hang on 11 watts per kilogram before they even hit the climb. Negative percent gradient, so it's all about the speed being carried into the climb here. Conley now 13 watts per kilogram as we're seeing here. One last kick up on the top there. Grimshaw trying to hang on 185 beats per minute. I don't think they're going to be caught here. Levy now knows one last dig for the win. Conley, though, on the front there, 1.6 watts per kilogram. Now Grimshaw now going, it looks like, trying to hold on to as much speed. It's still about speed here. 14 seconds, 2 off the front. They're going to have to work together if they're going to hold off the likes of this pack now, as we do see Bay, Levy, Little, as well as Goran, and it will also be a Sherritt there as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, making a chase, 2 up front. Are they going to hold off? 23 seconds. It's enough here, but it's going to be about the power, Quentin.
Yeah, it's 2 against 5, so it's definitely, I wouldn't say an even fight, but if the two guys on the front manage to work together, it might be GG for them. And I don't think the last kick over the escalator would be enough for the group of 5 to come back.
Yeah, so it's going to be about I think the descent here, but look at this at the front here. Levy able to rest up, 40 miles per hour we're seeing here from him. Grimshaw now 42 at this section, a negative 6% gradient, negative 7% gradient. Will they bring the speed up? It's out to 21 seconds and still going out. And looks like there's a lot of motivation in the legs here to stay away. Bay now starting to make a chase here, 41 miles per hour now. We are seeing Sherritt now knowing that They've got to make this chase. Brings it up to 44, and it's going to be, though, I don't know here, 50 miles per hour on this descent. Not sure they're going to see them again, as Conley and Grimshaw are working very well together to bring this back in. None of these guys are on a team together here, so it's going to be all about working together to maybe just be out sprinted by somebody who's not doing work. So Conley continues, 19 seconds now. I believe it's going to be a sprint for second. I'm calling Grimshaw and Conley to hold on, as these boys look like they are racing for third now at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. It might be a sprint for third in that group of 5, but you can never count out these guys. Like, they are maybe 10 seconds behind. And if any of these guys have any kick left in the last climb on the escalators, they might get away with it and try to bridge that last 10 seconds before the finish line.
Yeah, there is a reality, as if anybody does have any kick at this point, they will be able to close that down here. But Bay here, 3.4 watts per kilogram, looks like he's calming down. We are losing a few of the riders here quickly, though, so hopefully we can get this back on screen here. We are seeing Kim Little here, 3.7 watts per kilogram now. Grimshaw now as well. Hopefully we can get the finish here, boys and girls. I am having some sort of a network issue, and Trzynski here is going crazy fast. So I'm going to go back in with the women. We haven't checked in with them in a little while here anyway. So now we are seeing here, it looks like Wayland as well as Abbott with a gap now. 5.8 watts per kilogram here coming from, it looks like Abbott trying to drop off Wayland. Looks like Hole from Vision unable to hang on to the pace with those girls. Only 2.5 watts per kilogram here coming from her. Not sure she can be coming back to those girls as they start to break away, racing for that second place on the day here. Rachel, absolutely gone, though. 7:30, almost up on the top of the climb already.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Abbott has been second to Rachel in pretty much every Ecrit race. So it's not a surprise to see her putting down the hammer in the last lap, right before the last climb up Box Hill. So yeah, it's not a surprise to see her hammering out at that point of the race and trying to get rid of the 2 other girls with her.
Yeah, and so Abbott here, like you were saying, one of the favorites out there to be taking the win or second place there to Rachel out there on the day. Wayland, though, able to hang on to the wheel here, and maybe going to be a little upset here to Jay Abbott and Team Fearless here. So we're almost, I'm coming into the finish line here. I've almost got eyes, you guys, on things. It's all over the place, though, right now. For my connection to the world of Zwift. I do have Casey Shum, it looks like, hanging out at the start-finish line. Looking at Locks and a few others. Soren Bay here looks like as well. I'm going to see if I can bring this in for you guys for the finish, but it's really all over the place with the network right now. It might be on my end and not on Zwift's. It's not always Zwift. We're trying to figure out what's happening here. We've been running lots of tests, but we've been unable to really nail it down here, you guys. But Kim Little here we are seeing with the sprint to the line. Grimshaw, 18 watts per kilogram at a stuck 14.16. That was interesting to see there. But now we do see Bay here as well to the line. We're going to have to wait for ZwiftPower.com, you guys. I apologize. There's not much I can do about it, though, at this point. You can see what I see. And Kim Little across the line there, it looks like, with 3.1 watts per kilogram behind Bay. I believe he might have taken 4th place on the day here. So I am running tests to see what is happening with the feed here. And I'm going to continue to run them right now, actually. It even seemed like my tests were causing things to actually get worse, so I actually backed them off. But we were able to capture a little bit of information, and we'll see if we can figure out why we continue to get issues coming through here and there. But now, so Rachel Elliott at the front here, 8 minutes up. She's going to be taking this W for sure. Jay Abbott here, 4.4 watts per kilogram with Wayland right on her wheel here. It does look like Vision Cycling rider Hole coming out of Norway has given up the ghost here. He's going to have to make a chase to the line to hold off Beaumont as well as Inslee, though. So that's what it looks like it's going to be like on the day. Rogers, you're not allowed to do that, and I will ban you for the day if you keep it up. Just so you know. But no links in the it's fine. We can promote. I want to promote Kim 100%. But you cannot be setting precedent in a stream for linking other streams, because then everybody does it. And so the ban will go longer, Rogers, if you keep that up, buddy. All right. So real quick here, looking through the racers right now, we are seeing Wayland here, 4.4 watts per kilogram, right along with Abbott, 4.6. 180 beats per minute. There's a little bit of attack here from Wayland. You think Abbott might be in a little bit of trouble?
It might be a little bit of trouble for her because nobody really knows Wayland, and you can see from the jersey she's wearing that she completed the Zwift Academy program, so you know she's someone to count with. And it might be a good battle that we are going to see up that last climb up Box Hill.
Yeah, it looks like it, as they are just getting going here up on the top of Box Hill, 4.5 watts per kilogram. And it looks like Abbott did counter Wayland a 187 beats per minute. We're not sure what a max heart rate might be from her. It looks like Vision Cycling, though, Hole here, going to have to hold on to 34 seconds. Beaumont looks super motivated at this point. Might be able to bring this back. 170 beats per minute, 220 watts now. Wayland, though, 4.9 now, 188. We do see the heart rates continue to rise beat by beat, little by little here. She's going to try and hold on to Abbott's wheel now. That initial attack maybe suffering a little bit for it. Now we're seeing that huge fluctuation you see a lot of times when somebody's really suffering. They kick a little bit over threshold and then come back and kick again a little bit over. Abbott, though, looking a little bit more consistent perhaps there, Quentin.
Yeah, it might be coming down to being used about racing on Zwift, and who's the most experienced rider and who's done Box Hill the most times, because you need to know what you're up against, talking about the climb here, and knowing yourself after that, and what kind of watts you can hold, and how far you can go beyond your VO2 max effort to first hold on and then maybe put up some kind of attack in the last kilometers. And yeah, it's gonna come down to a duel, and it started off good, and we might see some surprises up at the top.
So we are seeing 4.4 watts per kilogram here from Abbott. I think they are staying together very steadily, though, here. Abbott here, 4.9, though, 4.7, 190 now from Wayland. The heart rate, like we were saying, just creeping up little by little right now. What is the max here that we could see from Wayland here? 191, and just hovering right around there. And we do see her looking for a little bit of reprieve, though. 4.0 watts per kilogram, 3.5 watts per kilogram. Now, Abbott may be turning the screws just enough to drop off Wayland at this point. Wayland, again, a little bit of a kick to grab back onto that wheel. We do have another sprint here for the men here coming in. We were able to grab their feed really quickly here. FJ from WBR just crossing out. Serbo here coming from the BRT team now, but we see Neil Duffy now from Team Experimental coming to the line, and it will be Duffy at the front, but now we do see the Vikings rider with 9.4 watts per kilogram across the line. It looks like just nipping them, maybe. We'll have to wait for ZwiftPower.com for that, but it looked like maybe the Viking rider just barely, but that was a photo finish there. Looking at it again, we don't actually have the replay up at this moment. We'll have to get those for the next race, boys and girls. Again, this is preseason for the CVR World Cup, as we're waiting for the final for the women up and over the top of the climb here. The preseason, let's go ahead and take a look here real quick at what the season is going to look like. Preseason from December 4th, 4 weeks. And the whole idea here is getting used to the format, what days people are racing, as well as the rankings within CVR rankings starting to even themselves out about where people's ability will land them from racing throughout the 4-week preseason. Then the main winter season starts January 2nd. That's 8 weeks of racing. And then the postseason is 4 weeks starting on February 26th. Now, winter season is 2 halves. Each 4 weeks, best 3 racers from each count towards points. 3 races, best 3 races from each count towards the points. So 4 weeks on each half, 8 weeks total. Your best from each 4 weeks count toward the total points. Winner of each zone. So that's the zones. There are, I believe there are 8 zones total, and winner of each zone gets an invitation to the CVR World Cup Live. Must accept to be crowned the winner. So, and then the postseason after that, then though, head-to-head tournament where 2nd and 3rd place finishers per zone fight it out for the final invitation in a knockout style series. So 16 riders total, and 2nd and 3rd battle it out, and they can get assistance from their teammates in those finals. So got 4 weeks. That's the other thing. We got a comment there coming from Racing Mike. That is definitely the other thing. People are going to be looking to get back in shape, I think, over, they had a rest, 4 weeks of training and racing during the preseason, Quentin. I think a lot of people are thinking, all right, it's time to get going here before we hit January.
Yeah, it's definitely the time that people are getting back on the bike and getting back on serious training. And December is that period when you get back to your habits in terms of training. And in January, you already see people hitting some kind of form. And it's definitely the best time to have any kind of winter season, because all the road riders are getting back in shape, and it might not be the craziest season in terms of numbers, but it might be one of the most interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. I think the riders here are definitely thinking about January 2nd start here. They're going to get used to the format through this. And this is kind of tune-up racing, right? Like, there was an announcement of this big series, and there's just a reality of like, oh, this is here now. You know what I mean? And you've got a few weeks, and a lot of times people look forward to training for something if they're going to take it super serious. And these live events, I mean, there's cash prizes on the line, right, Quentin? I mean, I saw $100,000 was a part of the prize list. And so with that, people are like, oh, all right, I need a month to train. Since the announcement, which is actually going to be over a month to train, it's going to be about 5-6 weeks, actually. What kind of shape can they get in for this kind of racing, you think, Quentin?
Well, it's definitely interesting because the event is supposed to be at the end of March. So they will hit their spring form by that time of the year. But in order to get there, they have to hit a first peak in January and all the way to February, because each half season is almost a month long. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see who can be the more consistent over those 2 months of the season, and if need be during March for the postseason. And it's definitely going to be interesting because there's quite a lot of the line on the line, actually.
There is a ton on the line, that is for sure. And I think that definitely is going to motivate riders to have a little bit better form a little bit earlier. Now, what's going to be interesting to me is to see how that ends up playing out into some of these riders' real life season, if they do race in real life as well. I think that they're going to come flying. They're going to come out absolutely flying. It's going to be like, a little bit of a rest maybe after their initial, we've got a lot of racing to go all the way through March, obviously, already talking about the rest, but I have a feeling it's only going to benefit their real life racing season. But I think that people are definitely going to be, like you were saying, looking for somewhat of a peak maybe at first peak, that first peak a lot of time in your racing is not your strongest one. I actually would plan 2, 3, even 4 different season peaks actually. And the first one was kind of just a test almost just to kind of get things moving. And then the second and third ones were really the major focuses. And so, coming into peak condition, probably a little bit of, endurance mileage in mixed in with intervals as well as the racing, and then really get things moving though once they head into that January. 30 seconds though for Abbott. You made the call there, Quentin. She walked away from Wayland on that climb, it looks like.
Yeah, she's been very consistent all throughout the autumn actually, because it's not winter quite yet. But yeah, she's been really consistent, and it's not really a surprise to see her there. And she might be one of the top contenders in now for the postseason, because racing in the same zone as Rachel Elliott, she's going to be heading for the postseason most likely.
So looking through the comments here, Rachel Elliott is letting us know Rose Wayland is a Zwift Academy semifinalist, so pretty talented. Thank you so much for the information there, Rachel. Really appreciate it. Dixie also letting us know. Good to see the girls hanging out in the broadcast. Nice job, Rachel, on your W2 day. We were a little worried up front with that arrow power up, but it was not clear. So nice job on that result. You absolutely hammered. I think you ended up with a solid 7-8 minutes over the field. So no question about who dominated today. So all done says done. And thanks, Nathan. Great. Thank you so much for jumping into the broadcast as well, Rachel. We appreciate it. Looking through some more of the comments here. Let's go ahead and actually take a look at the results for the men. It was Grimshaw that took the W across the line, followed by Lucas Conley in a sprint, it looks like there. Jonathan Levy then came in for third. Andy Sherritt there for fourth. Soren Bay, Kim Little, Antoine Garan, as well as Annabelle there for eighth. It looks like Peter Truzinski then, followed by Bertus Turksma, 102 back. So that was your top 10 amongst the men out there today. So with the women that we do have Jay Abbott here making her way to the line. Wayland is now there as well, 176, 177. Unable to chase down the Polish rider though today, it looks like. And for the women, it does look like, barring any kind of crazy mechanical at this point, Jay Abbott is going to be walking with it. Rachel Elliott, first place on the day in a 108.16. Joanna Abbott there, solid 3.8 watts per kilogram. Rachel Elliott, 4.9 watts per kilogram on the day for her 20-minute. Nice job out there today. Or was that for the full duration? I believe it's no longer the 20-minute estimated, I think, on the columns here. But now Joanna Abbott there with a solid 3.8. Rosie Wayland there with the 3.6 watts per kilogram. It looks like Kirsty then as well. 3.3 is about 3 minutes back. And, when the pressure came on Quentin, I think Kirsty was just hanging on with these two at the front, maybe.
Yeah, I think she definitely got that pressure from the other two riders, and maybe the experience on racing on Zwift as well, because she's not a recent rider, but she hasn't raced a lot in the past few months. So, and we know the experience on Zwift racing is quite an important part, and that might have come into play as well in that last lap of racing.
So it does look like Abbott here, solid ride, takes the fastest on course that's currently on course for the lap as well. So that is your second place out there today. As you were saying, though, perhaps Kirsty needs a little bit more experience out on Zwift for racing. Wayland here, though, the semifinalist, we're going to see if we can see her come across the line. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to. Apologies, everybody. We are going to lose the race. Oh, there we go. We did find her. Good deal. And so it looks like Wayland is going to take it calm into the finish line. She's got 2:15 to work with. Why push too hard at this point? And solid effort here from Rosie Wayland, the Zwift Academy semi-finalist, 1.6 watts per kilogram across the line now. Kirsty Hole now holding off Beaumont there. It looks like 56 seconds. We were a little concerned perhaps Beaumont was going to be coming back. Doesn't look like Kirsty's too concerned about it though. She's got a solid 59 seconds over the top of the fearless rider. Inslee there with Croucher though, 136. We are going to keep eyes on that, though. That is going to be a sprint to the line, I believe, between these women. They have been locked to each other's wheels, actually, almost working together, perhaps. Fearless and PTZ out there, quick. Do you think they're working together or just happen to be around the same level?
Well, I do think they are working together because, well, there's a girl like very close to them on the front. And there were riders behind putting some pressure on, so they might have been working together in order to catch Beaumont. But in the end, the positions we saw at the top of the first climb are quite similar to what we see at the finish line, actually.
So at the end of so you're saying at the finish line they're going to be not that they're not working together, I think is what you're after there, Quentin. Is that right?
No. At the contrary, they are trying to work together, I think, but it didn't quite work out the way they wanted to.
Okay, gotcha. So with Beaumont there up front, and they were unable to catch her. Now, I would think that Croucher would not be trying to chase her down. Maybe sitting on and allowing Beaumont to go away, and maybe Inslee to do most of the work on the day here. I have a feeling that might be some of the motivation from the way that the riders are riding there. That Team Fearless is definitely taking advantage of their current situation out there. Inslee having to do a ton of work for PTZ there to hold them off. I am seeing Paul Hoppy Maria, Paul Hopkins saying he's so gutted to read only position down to 10. I did see it, Hoppy, and it was 11th place, Hoppy Marita. Klaus Vandernod, followed up by Jacobonus, Eric Locks, and then Michael Durr. That's your top 15. There you go. We'll just keep on reading all the way through, hey. It looks like Kirsty was able to get across the line there in the next spot. Solid result for her. I'm going to take a look through here real quick for the women's results in our top 4. Rachel Elliott, Joanna Abbott, Rosie Wayland, and then Kirsty Oil. It will be Lynn Beaumont there, able to hold on to 5th perhaps. We'll have to look through here and see if she was chased down or not. Now, Beaumont now across the line. There it is for 5th. We missed it. Sorry. We're trying to stay in the event, but unable to do so. It's going to be a little while, I'm hearing, before we have full-on broadcaster tools that allow us to be specific to events here. But we'll be Inslee able to drop off Croucher. So regardless of hanging onto the wheel there for Team Fearless there, Inslee was able to get the drop there on Croucher across the line there. So it looks like Croucher is going to be taking 7th place, followed by Avery here from PTZ. Will be Livsley there also from PTZ. A lot of riders actually here. Now Asperheim here coming out of Norway trying to chase them down, but they're all in no woman's land at this point. Solo TT efforts now. That'll be your top 5 though. Out to Oderbrab, it looks like. Out let me see here real quick. Coming out of Spain, I believe. Yeah, she'll be taking that 10th place. So it will be Avery, Janet Livesley, as well as Anna Oderbrab. All right, so everybody, if you haven't done so already, and you're over at that Twitch channel right now, make sure to hit that follow button over at Twitch. That is the place for all things live streaming. We actually had a little conversation about within the community about what's up with live streaming. What is the place to be for live streaming? We essentially, so just a quick strategy. Here's how it works. To get involved in live streaming and be able to get notifications anytime we go live with live streams. Facebook is more of a advertising platform to say, hey, live streams are happening, but live streaming platforms and the consumption of that as a media, if you are interested in it, you should go to a live streaming platform. That is the best place to get notifications, community, as well as see others who are mainly focused on live streaming of Zwift. That is the place to be about it. You also get push notifications to your email, to your Twitch app, or to the Twitch app on your desktop, as well as on your mobile device. It is completely focused on live streaming rather than just being a social media where you can go, hey, and then the consumption of that is about 1 to 5 seconds because a bunch of other things are going on social medias. It's not focused on live streaming. So if you are watching on the Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube or somewhere like that, we highly suggest head on over to the Twitch channel, hit the follow button over on Zwift Community Live's Twitch. Good to see you there, Victor WD. What's up, guys? Drape Gob once again. Great job once again, Nathan and Quentin. Thanks a lot. So, Quentin, interesting preseason race here. You know, we saw the attack there from Conley as well as Grimshaw. What are you thinking with this initial? You think we're gonna get some response from some of the riders who are like, "Oh, I need to get in shape," or "I need to do things differently"? Are we gonna get some Zada things going on too? I mean, what do you think's happening here, Quentin? With what we saw here from these results, we got, Grimshaw, Conley, and Levy, 1, 2, 3. That's not a lot. I mean, we see Grimshaw at SER, but Conley and Levy, a little newer to the racing environment. Share it. We've seen for a very long time. Soren Bay there as well. How do you think they're going to handle all this? First, let's answer, was this an expected result? Let's go with that one first.
Well, I think given the difficulty of Box Hill, it was expected, I'd say, because Conley has shown that he's got huge watts to give, and that he's a very aggressive rider. And I think he was maybe a bit surprised by the fact that Grimshaw was able to follow him in that last kick. But what we saw today might not be what we see at the start of the season, and even less at the end of the season. So we have things to remember from today, but maybe take it for granted that this front group will stay that way all the way to the postseason. And we are definitely going to see some Zada approval coming because, well, first, Conley did 5.1 today, so he's in for Zada approval anyway. And yeah, we are going to see interesting thing, especially thanks to Box Hill. Well, thanks if that's something we can say, because nobody thanks Box Hill after a race.
Well, yeah, I think the community is going to be calling out for it too, especially with what's on the line. I think that the race organizers, in conjunction, they're getting really good at this. Actually, everyone's really starting to work together. It seems like you can see it. Frank Garcia made a great post actually out on Facebook about the way that everybody's working together as of recently, and the community, I think, though, as a whole, is really going to start to come up with great processes in order to verify riders with the amount of effort and work and organization that's going into this now, Quentin.
Yeah, I think so. And, well, it's a good thing on two sides of things. Like, people are going to put more trust in the organizers and in the Zada approvals and in the watts and heart rate they see on screen. And they're going to trust more the riders next to them. And the other thing is that with that kind of competition, with everyone racing all together, we are going to have much less talk about sandbagging, which has been a very concerning problem and a very hot topic in the last few weeks. And with that kind of competition, there is no sandbagging. Everyone is in the same race, and it's going to help the other races as well, because if you see people coming in with known A's or B's, you're going to see what categories they belong to, and they will. well, first they will be forced by the others to join that category, but they will realize that they have their place in that category, and it's going to be a good thing because it's always more. Uh, it's always better for yourself to know that you're able to hold on to a higher category that you expected. And I think in the long run, it's going to be a very good thing for the racing community.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to bring up. We definitely want to chat about that some more later this week about how CVR is responding to the way categories have been organized for so long. I've been a big proponent of results make rankings. Results make what people can do. Watts per kilogram is just a training tool when it comes to FTP. FTP is a training tool. It's not a racing rankings tool. It is not it's never been used as that in real life ever, right? And so what CVR is doing is they're working with what we need for group rides and events, which is, here's your general watts per kilogram. Join this, and this is what you can expect out of it. That's 100% awesome for events and group rides, right? But when we start talking about competition, when we start talking about the dynamics of moment by moment racing, a lot more than FTP goes into that. And so the reality of results creating the rank at which you race, I think CVR is taking a great jump in that, like you were saying, and is working with what we have to work with, though, too, when it comes to categories. I thought it was really interesting how they placed different ranked groups within certain categories and said, here, we'll work with the categories that are out there because that's what we have to work with, but here's the rank that goes in those. And then you know, you end up amongst riders who are no longer able to sandbag, though. I thought that was a really cool point you made there, that we've seen so many people be like sandbagging this and this person's going too fast for what it's supposed to be. It eliminates that concern completely as it works itself out off of results. If you don't get the results against the riders, they either will leave your category or you will go down a category. Does that make sense, Quentin? That the sandbagging becomes eliminated after you get beat by riders that you shouldn't be around, or you beat riders you shouldn't be around.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a very good point they made by getting to result-based categories, and it's gonna take some time for people to find their place, because the category are now based on the CVR rankings, and it takes into consideration the number of races you've done. So newer racers might be in lower categories, and I think the best example might be you, actually, because for a long time you've been in what they call the rookie category, and since you've not raced that much, and you might be in one of the lower category, and if they actually followed that, you would actually be in the D or C bracket, which is not your place. And that preseason is here for that as well, is that racers get to know their place better by racing this preseason, and they will enter the season in the categories they actually belong to, and it's going to be a really good thing in the long run, maybe after 2 or 3 seasons, and people will actually know where they belong.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% completely. Now, I think they do have, there was some discussion I saw, and I think they do have some things to work out on the points system and how it ends up ranking people immediately and things, but it works pretty well off of results. Some of, you know, just the reality, though, if you're going to be involved in the racing, that to be in the correct category, like the only way that I think there is some feedback that sandbagging can still take place. I'm an example of that. I'm not trying to sandbag, but since I'm not racing, I get lowered in the rankings. And so there is something to be said maybe to, I have a pro license in racing right now. Okay. if I sign up next year, I didn't race much this year. Does that mean I no longer race professional if I go out and train? No. So once you hit a certain ranking, you are there unless over time you show you can no longer race there and you ask for a downgrade. That's how it works in real life based off results. And so the riders then, I think, the degrading of their rank maybe should be looked at. I think that might be a good point. I mean, in real life, you hit a certain rank, you race at that rank so that you can't sandbag. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm gonna take the French example here. When you hit a category and you want to downgrade the next season, you have to race that season, and you have to, well, basically to show in races that you don't belong there to be able to downgrade the next season. And if you don't race at all for a whole year, you cannot go down more than one category. And I think Zwift racing is starting to follow as well. And it's going to be a good thing because there's a lot of poking around when it comes to riders' performances, and it's gonna get the environment more trusting on that regard. And it's I actually think it's a very good thing for the racing scene. That doesn't mean that the other organizer have to follow that lead and start changing everything they did up to now. It's definitely good to have diversity in the racing, but it's a good thing that there is that league to set some basis on the other categories we see.
Yeah, I agree with that as well too. That I think having the diversity and seeing what works well, also what takes a ton of work. You know what I mean? Like there's that reality too. And trying something, to see if there's other solutions out there too. But I think it'll be interesting to see how it ends up playing out between them. And I agree with that 100%, that of course it's not, people can do what they want when it comes to race organization and how they organize their categories and work with what they want to. It's just really interesting to see a new kid on the block with it though as well. So, but of course there's an awesome tool out there from race organizers that is the current watts per kilogram category. That is, you want to get something going, boom, it's done. I mean, you just say A, B, C, D, or whatever it might be that you're going to include for your event, and you've got people who know what I'm jumping into. At that point, though, there is a little bit of those were made for group rides and events, and up front weren't called races. So that's another topic, though. For that, we'll get on that another. Maybe Friday we'll jump into that a little bit, but I'm getting some questions. Nathan, will you be on the mic for the USG? I will not. We're going to cover one to start with. We're going to cover one CVR for every Tuesday. We're going to have fan view, I believe, with CVRs doing some fan views and some of their own live streams, I believe, here and there. So you might want to check that out. I would highly encourage anyone who is doing any live streaming for any of the events that are out there to make a Twitch account and grow the Zwift game and platform on that live streaming service, and then use the social medias to promote that place in order to garner more long-standing viewership, though, as well. There's definitely people, real quick comment on that out there to all of those getting into live streaming. There is, as Zwift Community Live, as the community leader in live streaming with Zwift, we really want to focus in on and also reveal what the polls are to different live streaming places. And there is a lot of views to be had on Facebook within social networks that are very quick, that usually last about 1 to 5 seconds. And so when you see that big view count going up, right, we get like somewhere between 5 and 30,000 views on a live stream, right? Or something like that on Facebook. But most of those interactions were about 10 to 15 seconds. And that doesn't build a community of live streamers. It builds the same thing that most social media builds, a quick little impact. It's advertising. There you go. You know it exists. I encourage you to build a community of live streaming, a community of Zwifters, a community of sharing what our Zwift experience is on a streaming platform so that people are together and hanging out and know where to go when and get to know each other in those spaces rather than just this quick goodbye, there it is and there it's gone. It also, as a streaming platform, just has a lot better tools for interaction. So that's just being said just for you guys that are out there. I believe there will be other streams, though, out there that you can check out for each of the zones. And we're going to be working on getting as many of those out there as we possibly can. But for right now, we're just doing the 1 p.m. Central Standard Time EU race as the largest participation race. And that's why we've chosen that one. So any other questions, comments? I'm going to look at them real quickly here. And it doesn't look like it. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Quentin, great having you. We'll see you on Thursday, I believe, for the E-Crit.
Yeah, you'll see me anytime you need to see me, actually.
And then tomorrow for SCR tomorrow as well, obviously. Yeah, SCR tomorrow as well, obviously. So, but those are the next big things happening. Again, this was the CVR World Cup initial preseason race. It is running all the way through January. Well, 4 weeks starting today. So we're going all the way through the end of the month, and then it will be January 2nd. They'll start the main season. It's going to be a battle all out for those top spots. Again, the winter season. This is it. The 2 halves. Best of 3 races from each. Winner gets an invitation to the World Cup, $100,000 prize on the line there. The postseason will be having some head-to-head for 2nd and 3rd place to round out the 16 riders. It's going to be a battle, Quentin. I'm excited for these races and covering them with you. All right, boys and girls, that's going to be it from me and Quentin the Fae. We'll see you tomorrow. SCR Racing Series. Take care, everybody.